welcome back to Cruising as Crew. Today we're going to go through 8 ways you can save money while working on a cruise ship. Now, working on a cruise ship in general makes it very easy to save money because we don't have to pay for rent, we don't have to pay for food, we don't have any bills to pay. So if you are looking to save money, that is a great reason to start working on a cruise ship, because it's so much easier to save working on a cruise ship than having a normal job on land. However, as some of you will know if you've been watching my channel for a while, it's also easy to spend the money you earn. If you've watched my videos where I go through my card breakdown after I finished a contract, I think one of the ones I did after Virgin, I spent an obscene amount of money on coffee during my contract. And the real heart-wrenching thing about that is I could have got that coffee for free if I'd have just been willing to walk a little bit further. But anyway, we've let that go. So although it is easier to save money when working on a cruise ship than being at home, there are things that are tempting to spend your money on. So I'm just going to highlight a few things that you will find on board that might tempt you to spend your money, and give you some alternatives so that you don't spend as much money on these things as I did. I had to learn the hard way, and I'm hoping that you can learn these lessons just by listening to me. So the first thing is internet. Now, I've talked about internet a lot. When you are on cruise ships, the internet isn't great and it is very expensive. So, very expensive. And we are in a world now where internet is readily available. Good internet as well. So it does feel like you are going back in time slightly when you come on board a cruise ship, because there's no internet access unless you pay for it. My advice to you, if you have a job that allows you to get off in port fairly regularly, then I would try to not buy internet when you are on board, and just try and get internet when you are out in port, because you're probably going to get some lunch when you go out in port, and 9 times out of 10 that restaurant will offer free Wi-Fi, or you're going to get a drink or something and you'll be able to find free Wi-Fi. So if you have the willpower to do this, then I would urge you to do this, because the money that you spend on Wi-Fi on board really does add up. On the other hand, if you have a job that doesn't allow you to get off in port very often, then you're just going to have to bite the bullet and buy the Wi-Fi that is offered on board. But the good thing about that is, if you're not able to get off in port very often, the money that you would spend on lunch in port, you're going to be spending it on Wi-Fi. So it kind of balances it out. So if you're doing that and you're buying the expensive Wi-Fi on board, you're going to be spending a lot of money, and it's going to come to the end of your contract and you're going to have nothing to show for that money. You're going to have spent it all on Wi-Fi and food, which is what I did. If you're getting off a lot and spending your money in port, don't buy Wi-Fi on the ship. If you can't get off in port, or you don't like to get off in port, get the Wi-Fi on board. Number 2 is utilise crew discounts. So if you are on a cruise ship that is going to popular cruise ship destinations like the Caribbean or places in the Mediterranean or Alaska, half of the stores in these places are gonna offer some kind of crew discount. Now, for a long time I felt really cheeky asking, do you offer crew discount? And I just would never ask. I wish I did. The discount is there for a reason, so just bite the bullet and ask if they have crew discount. Most places, if they do, will actually have a sign up in their window because they want to attract crew members. But it is always worth asking if the place offers crew discount, because if you get a discount, why wouldn't you take it? And I cannot tell you the amount of times that I went for lunch places and I would talk to someone and they're like, oh yeah, I love it there because they offer crew discount. I'm like, I didn't get crew discount. They're like, well, did you tell them you were a crew member? I'm like, no. So sometimes just putting your crew card on the table is enough to let the waitress know that you're a crew member, and they'll offer you the discount. So sometimes you don't even have to ask. Just put your crew card on the table, or get it out in the shop, or have it on display, because getting a discount's always great. Now, this next one is going to depend on what job you have, because if you're only able to get off in port once or twice a week, go and have lunch, enjoy yourself. However, if you have a job like I had on Virgin, where you are able to get off in port almost every day, going out in port and getting lunch is going to add up, especially if you are in like Europe or something. What I would do, and what I was doing towards the end of my contract, is I would allow myself to buy lunch outside like once or twice a week, but the rest of the time I was taking a packed lunch. Now this is if the cruise line allows it. Some cruise lines are really funny with you taking food on and off the ship. A lot of cruise lines are okay with it, so you're just gonna have to ask and see what the rules are. But if you are allowed to, what I did is I bought some Tupperware off Amazon. I would go to the mess, make some sandwiches, and I would take that out with me. You know, if I was going to the beach or something, I'd just take food out with me, and then that saves me having to buy food. And although lunch might only be like $15, $20, if you're doing that every single day, it adds up. So taking a packed lunch outside like 3 or 4 times a week can save you so much money. And if you are still wanting to find Wi-Fi while you're outside, you can still take your packed lunch, but just maybe have a coffee or have a drink somewhere where they offer free Wi-Fi. You don't have to have a full-blown meal. When you are living on board, you will have a crew ID card. So this will be the key to your cabin. It will obviously be your ID that lets you on and off the ship. It's also how you pay for everything on board. Now, there are usually 2 options. You can either link your credit card to your crew ID, which means that your crew ID is basically connected to your bank account. Or you can top your crew ID up. So let's say every month you put like $50 on it. I would recommend, if you're trying to save money, which I assume you are because you've clicked on this video, top up. Do not link your card to your crew card, because it just never runs out. Like, you never have any reason to not buy something because you're always going to have money on there. Whereas if you have to do the act of getting money to go to crew office when it's open to top up, it makes it more difficult. And also it's easier to budget. If on the first of the month you put $50 on your crew card and you're like, right, that's it for the month, $50, that's it, and you're 2 weeks in and you've spent $50, it makes you aware of how much you're spending. And also it's then up to you whether you're like, well, that's it for the month, I've done it, or you can obviously top it up again. But just being aware of how much you're spending makes it easier to save money. And myself and the people who have linked their debit card to their ID card have often regretted it at the end of their contract, because they're like, oh my god, I've spent £800 on alcohol in the crew bar, or I've spent £600 on coffee, or whatever it is. So top tip is, do not link your debit card to your crew ID. Just top it up every so often. The next one is one of my favourites. So obviously you're on a cruise ship, you're going to all of these incredible, exciting destinations. You want to explore as much as possible, but it costs money to explore these places. Well, the beautiful thing about being a crew member on a cruise ship is you will have an excursions department. And normally, on most cruise lines I've been on, actually on all cruise lines I've been on, they have offered a program where you as a crew member can go on a guest excursion free of charge in exchange for giving a review to the excursions team. So for example, when I was on P&O, there was an excursion to Rome. We went to the Vatican, we had lunch, we went to the Trevi Fountain, like to the Colosseum, and it was a proper like guided tour. We got all the information. It was absolutely wonderful. For passengers, I think it was like €500. For me, it was free, and all I had to do was, the tour guide was at the front of the group. All I had to do was stand at the back of the group and make sure no one got lost. And then at the end of the day, I had to give a review to the excursions team and just say, like, was it good? Was it bad? What was great about it? What was bad about it? And I got an amazing excursion free of charge. And most cruise lines do this. So if you are doing a fantastic itinerary on whatever cruise ship you're on, I would urge you to make friends with the excursions department, because then they're more likely to offer you this amazing opportunity to be able to do these excursions free of charge and really explore the places that you are visiting for nothing. And the last one I'm going to mention is going to crew bar. So drinks and snacks that are served at the crew bar are generally very affordable. So I haven't actually been to the crew bar on this ship, but I've been to many crew bars in my life. So you can usually get like a gin and tonic for like $1.50. It's so cheap, which is fantastic. But because it's so cheap, it's really easy to not think anything of it, you know? You go into crew bar most nights, you end up spending like $10 a night because you're buying drinks for everybody because they're so cheap. But before you know it, it comes to the end of your month and you're like, oh, I've spent $100 at the crew bar, or whatever it is. So even though, you know, the cruise shop, the crew bar, everything crew related is generally very affordable, try and limit your exposure to it, because like everything, it adds up. And as I've spoke about it in many other videos, finding a balance is key, and especially with this, because I find you almost end up spending more because it's so cheap. Like if the drinks were really expensive, people would probably be like, oh, I won't go to crew bar because I can't afford it. But because it's so cheap, it's like, yeah, of course I'll come. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So just be aware. But this is why it's so good to top up your crew ID rather than connect your card, because if you connect your card, the drinks just keep on coming. There's no reason to stop. But yeah, so make sure you just set a budget and top up your card every so often. But those are the tips I have for you in regards to saving money when you are working on board a cruise ship. If you are going on a cruise ship or you have just joined a cruise ship, make sure you go over to cruisingascrew.com and check out my career guides. They will have all the information that you could ever need about working and living on a cruise ship. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye.